Hey, this is R.C. Blakes, and I'm so glad that you tuned in again. We're going back into our discussion relative to the narcissist. I'm on this journey of discovery because there's something very interesting about this personality disorder called narcissism. And you guys have really been helping me in terms of many of you are professionals and many of you have just had experiences. And you've been sharing those experiences with me and sharing that information with me, and I'm learning so much. And today I want to go into what I've learned to be some red flags that you may very well be interacting with a narcissist. Stay tuned.
Let's talk. Let's talk. You don't know how to be an individual.
And we want to get back to our discussion on race relations in the United States. Pastor R.C. Blakes Jr. joining us.
And as leaders on a local level, when we begin to combat the rhetoric with truth.
Pastor, thank you so much for joining me. It's such a horrific conversation that we even have to be having. What are you hearing from?
Let's talk with R.C. Blakes Jr. Let's talk.
The definition that I used in our first discussion is that a narcissist is an extremely self-centered person who has an exaggerated sense of self-importance, a manipulative individual with no sense of empathy. Now, mind you, these discussions are basic discussions. This is my investigating, learning what this thing is really all about. So, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a man that's interested in this thing called narcissistic personality disorder, because I am learning that I've been teaching about this individual long before I really fully comprehended what a narcissist actually was. I just kind of, chalked the whole concept of narcissism up to an arrogant, prideful person. But this individual is far more diabolical than just the average, typical, prideful, arrogant individual. But the most important aspect of the definition that we just use is that this person, be it male or female, is a manipulative individual with no sense of empathy. And empathy is the ability to identify with or understand the perspective, experiences, or motivations of another individual, and to comprehend and share another individual's emotional state. The narcissist does not have the capacity to relate to your emotional state or your personal experiences, perspective, or feelings. And one thing that I've learned from a conversation that I had by way of email is that everyone has the capacity or has the ability or can have narcissistic episodes or narcissistic moments. A narcissist, a person with narcissistic personality disorder, is characterized by an individual that maintains certain dysfunctional behaviors consistently. And when we say that everyone can have a narcissistic moment, any of us at any moment can be selfish or prideful. And, a healthy person, after some short span of time, recognizes his or her selfishness and feels a sense of empathy for the persons that they're inflicting that selfishness upon. And we come and we apologize and we make it right. But a narcissist does not have that capacity. He or she does not have the capacity to ponder anything other than self-interest, self-promotion, self-grandizement. A narcissist is a childlike individual who, much like a baby, and this was a great illustration that came to me. A narcissist is depicted in the behavior patterns of a baby who does not have the capacity to consider the fact that the parents have worked all day and need their rest, but will wake up at 2, 4, 6, does not have the capacity to feel for its mother if the mother is nursing, does not have the capacity to feel for anybody other than the baby's own personal needs and desires, because it's a baby. It is not emotionally developed. It is not matured. But the narcissist is a grown individual that has these same deficiencies in terms of connecting with other people and their needs. And it's interesting how the Apostle Paul writes in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 11. He says, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. The narcissist is a full-grown man in terms of chronology, in terms of physical development, full-grown woman in terms of, biology and chronology, but emotionally there's an arrested emotional state, that this person has the same empathetic capacity as a baby does. A baby does not have any ability to see your perspective or feel your your pain or understand where you might be coming from. A baby only knows, this is what I need it now, give it to me now, or I am going to do whatever I must do to get you to respond to my personal particular needs. Doesn't matter what yours are. So I hope that helps. But number one, in terms of red flags that may be signaling you're interacting with a narcissist, and we use the word interacting intentionally because, as I've come to learn, narcissists have very little capacity, if any at all, to have relationship. It's impossible to have a relationship when you cannot step outside of self-interest. So narcissists don't really have relationships. The narcissists have interactions. While you may be in a relationship towards him or her, they're simply interacting with you because the narcissist is simply an actor, an actress. They are the ultimate hypocrite. They simply put on a face, and they utilize that optic or that imagery to manipulate and to utilize your resources until they've hopefully, according to them, used your resources completely up, and then they move on to the next individual. But the number one thing when you're interacting with people, when you're dealing with a person that is potentially a narcissist, the flattery, number one, the flattery will be excessive. The flattery will be excessive. Now, this is important. This conversation that we're having now is important because if you begin to take into your consciousness that dating is not for romance, it's not really for just, batting of the eyes and saying all of these romantic and sexy things to an individual, or just dressing sexy or turning people on sexually that you're not in a committed relationship with or married to, dating is for data. And I believe the reason most people fall prey to the narcissist is because you step over the concept of using dating for data, and you're kind of vacuumed into the romantic elements of it. The romance is to, and everybody doesn't agree with my positions, and that's fine, but the romance really is to attract you to the individual. Once you're attracted to an individual, then it's your due diligence to collect the data to determine if this individual is healthy or even has the capacity to go into your future, or is this just some sexual attraction and that's the end of it? And if all there is to a connection is a sexual attraction, why even move forward? You know, many people are lured into the grips of the narcissist because you've limited your concept of dating to romantic attraction, and you allow that to just run its course, which usually runs aground and shipwrecks your life more times than you can imagine, more times than you'd probably like to admit. Whereas if you had used the dating moment to collect the data to determine if this connection can go to the next level, you would have weeded out these sick individuals sooner than later. But the first thing is that there's an overload of flattery. A person that is constantly telling you you just got out of the bed, you haven't even combed your hair, and they open you open your door for them, and you're just the most gorgeous person in the world, or you're the most handsome man. I've never seen anybody as beautiful as you are right now. My hair's not combed. I haven't even washed my face. What are you talking about? It's flattery. Just, you're on a 2-hour date and they've given you 75 compliments about your looks or about this or about that, and you're just the greatest this and you're just the greatest that. I mean, at some point, if you step outside of your vanity, common sense has to tell you that this person is laying it on very thick for a reason. And if you're wise and if you're educated, you then step back to really begin to analyze the motivations of this person, and why is this person telling me all of this wonderful stuff? Proverbs, the Bible says in Proverbs 6, verses 24 through 26, it says, to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. It says, lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. You notice it starts off there in verse 24, talking about keeping thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue. And it ends up in 26 with the Bible saying that she will hunt for the precious life. The narcissist uses flattering words to set you up for your own demise. Now, this is something that I teach in the Father-Daughter Talk, my book written entitled The Father-Daughter Talk. I also kind of reference it as well in another book I've written entitled Queenology, where we deal with the self-consciousness of a woman. Father-Daughter Talk is the book written to women relative to how to survive in a world that would consume you from a father's perspective. But one of the things we teach is that, or one of the things I teach is that when a person knows exactly what to say to you, when a man knows exactly what to say to you, that is not an indication that you should speed up full steam ahead, because he's saying all of the right things. He knows exactly what to say. He knows how to make me feel. When a man knows exactly what to say to you, that is an indication that you should slow down and analyze. Just because a person knows exactly what to say does not mean that they are healthy or even mean you well. Sometimes it's just a setup, and you have to step back from that moment to analyze completely the motivations, the emotional, psychological well-being or health of the individual, and what are their genuine intentions towards you. So when a person is overly flattering, you should step back. Number two is when you're in conversation with this individual, they have a gift for elusive conversation. Because the narcissist is a masterful liar. And the narcissist is probably always 3 lies ahead of the conversation. And so you'll find yourself asking this individual one thing, and they'll go on a whole spiel to direct the conversation to something that is totally irrelevant to what your initial question was, because they have elusive, their conversation is very elusive. They can slip in and out of the areas that might expose them for who they are. When they're, okay, I heard Dr. Mike Murdoch say this, which was powerful and a lot of wisdom in it. When one is trying to con you, they make the conversation very, very difficult. Something simple that you're trying to dialogue about, they twist it up and they make it so complicated. Your brain almost begins to hurt. It's because the narcissist is masterful at elusive conversation. Now there is a record in the Bible, and the more I look at this thing called narcissism, the more I find it, hidden in the undertones of the Bible. In 1 Kings, there's a record of what the Bible calls an old prophet. Let me just give you the gist of the story. There was this younger prophet who got specific instructions from God to go and do X, Y, and Z, and specific instructions on how to return. Well, he goes and he's successful at accomplishing what God told him to do. But then this old prophet, that's what the Bible calls him, he gets wind of the young prophet and his success. And so the old prophet sets out to intentionally derail the success of this young man. And the story ends with the young prophet being judged by God and being destroyed because of the old prophet twisting his thinking and twisting his understanding. And in 1 Kings 13, verses 13 through 18, it says, "And he said unto his sons," this is the old prophet talking, "Saddle me the ass." So they saddled him the ass, and he rode thereon, and went after the man of God, and found him sitting under an oak. And he said unto him, "Art thou the man of God that camest from Judah?" And he said, "I am." Then he said unto him, "Come home with me and eat bread." God told him, don't go to anybody's house, but just come straightway, come back. And he said, "I may not return with thee, nor go in with thee, neither will I eat bread, nor drink water with thee in this place. For it was said to me by the word of the Lord, Thou shalt not eat bread, nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way that thou camest." And he said unto him, "I am a prophet." Now the old prophet is talking to the young prophet. He said unto him, "I am a prophet also as thou art. And an angel spoke unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, Bring him back with thee into thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him." And he got the young man to get off course. And when the young man disobeyed God, following the promptings of this old prophet, after the young man had fully and completely disobeyed God, the old prophet sits at his table and he tells him, because you disobeyed God, now you're going to die. Now, he was in that position because he was dealing with this narcissist of some form of an old prophet. And I call him a narcissist because he had no remorse for misguiding, misleading this young man and derailing him to self-destruction. But he was twisted up by the words of this older prophet. This is why, now listen to this very carefully. This is why when you're in conversation with people, specifically when you're in conversation with people that you're dating, questions are imperative, because questions will reveal motives. Now watch this. You'll ask a question and they'll try to spin the conversation off into something else and let them go on with their rant. But then when they're through, at the next available moment, bring them right back. Now, I asked you about XYZ. What about this? And if they try to spin it off again and they try to avoid your question, you can pretty much begin to conclude that there's something that's not quite right with this individual. The third thing that the narcissist will project is a gift to make you feel bad about yourself. They will indirectly say things to make you question your body image. And all of this is to do what? To tear you down so that they can build themselves up. They have to put themselves in a position where they are viewed as, in your eyes, where they're viewed as being superior to you. So they tear you down. Really, without you even, it's subliminally, they begin to tear you down. You know, men quite often use, as I said, body image. You know, they'll talk about their previous girlfriends as though they're just casually giving you information about themselves. And they'll talk specifically about her size, and they'll size you up, and they'll make certain that they use a number that is smaller than your parent size, because they know that for women, size is important. You know, they'll kind of glean your educational level, and they'll create some kind of false persona of themselves that they are educated beyond you, or they've been with people that are, you know, at a certain PhD level or whatever. Anything to make you feel bad about yourself. And this person probably frequents the church. And me being a person that has grown up in church all of my life, being a pastor, I realize now that I see it more than I've known. This individual uses the Bible, uses God, uses religion, uses the church, uses their position to put themselves on a pedestal above others, and to use the Bible to hammer other people into the ground. Because anything to make you feel bad about, about you. The Bible says in Galatians 6, 1 through 3, brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself, considering yourself, lest thou also be tempted. I'm not going to, if I catch you in a fault or a failure, I'm not going to hammer you in the ground as a consequence of that, because I have to consider the fact that I could very well be in the same position. And it goes on to say, bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. So the narcissist has a gift of making you feel bad about being you. It's like when you get into their presence, there's a certain way you feel bad about being you. And another reason this is instituted is because they have to make you feel bad about being you, because at some point, if the interaction is prolonged and continues, they want to bring you to a place where you actually believe that no one else will want you or desire you other than them. And so you'll have A GED of a man manipulating a PhD of a woman because he has intentionally broken her down emotionally by making her feel bad about herself when there was no reason to. Number 4, narcissists have, my time is going real quickly, narcissists have extraordinary dreams with no plans. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. You know, well, how are you going to do it? I'll tell you about that, but this is what I'm going to accomplish and this is what I'm going to do. The Bible says, you know, no man, sets out to build a tower without sitting down first and counting the cost. Lest at the end he discovers he doesn't have enough to finish it. Narcissists have great plans or great ideas with no plans, great dreams, just fantastic dreams, but no plan. And if you sit them down and you ask them to write out the vision, put it on paper, write it out, they can't do it because the whole concept is just something that's fabricated in their own minds to make them feel good about themselves. And secondly, to impress you that they are what they're not. Number 5, the narcissist this person needs constant recognition and praise. And you will discover this in that probably in the initial conversations and probably every conversation following, this person has a serious need to talk about themselves. They will pause very little to hear anything about you. They will talk about themselves and they will build themselves up. And all they want to hear from you is bravo, bravo, you're a great man. Ooh, you're a great man. Ooh, there's none greater than you. They need constant praise and recognition. And one such individual that I believe is a biblical narcissist or was a biblical narcissist was King Saul. If you look in 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 6 through 9, it says, "And it came to pass, as they came when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music." They're coming back. David has won another battle on behalf of King Saul, and the people are coming out to meet King Saul, singing with instruments and what have you. But listen to what the Bible says. It goes on to say, "And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Saul thousands, David tens of thousands. And Saul was very wroth or angry, and the saying displeased him. And he said, They have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day forward." When they came out to meet Saul and to celebrate Saul, because they sang a song that said, Saul has killed his thousands and David tens of thousands, Saul, the Bible says, eyed David, and he even attempted to kill David, to the point David had to run from Saul because Saul wanted the praise. He wanted the credit. He didn't just want the achievement. He didn't just want the progress. He wanted the credit. Narcissists cannot stand to see anybody celebrated other than themselves. They have to be the center of attention. Number 6, and I only have 2 more. They take advantage of anyone who allows it. They'll use their mothers, they'll use their fathers, they'll use their siblings, they'll use their friends, they'll use their churches. They'll use their co-workers, they'll use their bosses, they'll use their neighbors, they'll use anybody they can use to advance their personal selfish agenda. In 2 Thessalonians, the Bible says in 2 Thessalonians 3, 10 and 11, The apostle says, so even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. For we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies. One of the ways to weed out a narcissist is to not allow people that you don't know to access your resources. They shouldn't be able to access your financial resources. They shouldn't be able to access your human resources. You shouldn't make your connections available to people that you don't know. And I would advise anybody who's just freshly dating someone and the conversation has already gone towards loaning me money or paying for this or that, you should cut that individual off immediately. That's a user. And these individuals will take advantage of anyone who allows it. That's why you can't even bring them around your family or your friends. They'll be using your family and your friends and you're not even aware. And number 7, and I'm done. This has gone longer than I anticipated. They're envious of people who actually possess the life they fantasize about. They are envious of people who actually possess the life they fantasize about. So if you see someone, or if you make mention of someone who actually, who's actualized the life they fantasize about, they'll find every reason to pull that individual down, to talk you out of feeling good about this person. Because they're envious of the people who actually possess the life they fantasize about. And in Proverbs 27:4, it says, wrath is cruel and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? All right, I'm done. I apologize for taking so long, and I thank you for just kind of going on this journey of discovery as we look into the ins and outs of a narcissistic individual. I pray that you've gotten something out of this. And if this is, something that ministers to you or reaches you on any level, I'd really like for you to subscribe. I'd love for you to like it and share it. And of course, if you are subscribed, make certain that you hit that bell so that when I come on, you can be alerted. Thank you again. Thank you again for giving me a few minutes of your time. I'm R.C. Blakes. And I thank you again for going on this journey of discovery with me. If you have anything to add, please share it in the comments. I need all of the information I can get. Your experiences, your expertise, help me as I try to help so many others. God bless you. I love you. And remember, you're on top and you're going higher.
Father-daughter talk book.
A lot of you whose ignorance has been shattered.